Welcome to Horror After Midnight. I'm your host, KC, here tonight with a very special guest, Mr. Shane Terry from Bloody Ballet. How's it going?
Doing well. Thank you so much, Casey, for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, man, it's no problem at all. It's a great movie. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, like how you got into filming and everything?
I did I originally got into acting through the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I got into the local cast and played a few roles in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, leading all the way up to playing Frankenfurter. That was back in high school. Did a couple of plays in high school back then, but, never did any serious acting or any other acting otherwise until back in 2010. I saw something on Facebook that said, a local film was looking for extras to be in a zombie film. And, I went out for that and just had the best time of my life, met some of the coolest people. They're still very good friends of mine. Christine Parker and Bill Mulligan. The film that we did was called A Few Brains More, Summer of Blood.
That's
Um,
awesome.
it's yeah, it's out there somewhere. You should check it out. It's real low budget, but it was a blast. But through meeting Christine Parker and Bill Mulligan and going to, conventions and whatnot and meeting other filmmakers and especially filmmakers around here in North Carolina, just started to, slowly work with them. Jason Buterin was one of them. I met through Christine Parker. Jason Buterin from the film Kill Giggles, which I played a role in Kill Giggles that he did recently. I also met Brett Mullen, which, he was the director of Bloody Ballet and our other film that we did, Bombshell Bloodbath, aka Dead Inferno. It's just kind of through that first group of filmmakers, just slowly met all these other local filmmakers, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Hmm, that's awesome, man. How'd you land the role of the killer in Bloody Ballet?
Well, I think that was both due to both Brett Mullen and Matt Cloud. I'd worked with them both previously. I was the zombie in Bombshell Bloodbath. So Brett knew my capabilities as playing, I guess, the victim, or excuse me, the villain type of role, the monster. And same thing with Matt Cloud. I'd worked with him previously. They both worked together writing this film, and I think was, I don't know who might have said what to who first, but I think it was an idea from both of them, to ask me, from having worked with them previously, and it worked out well. I was very honored to play the role of the killer in a film. It was, kind of like a lifelong dream come true.
Yeah, yeah, the film it's awesome. It's like American style, like Giallo influenced film. It's shot really well. Beautiful. I actually had to go pick me up a copy the other day. Got it from Amazon.
Yes, I did
Definitely
see.
had it in my collection.
Yes, I did see that. Thank you very much for picking one up. Yes, it was highly giallo influenced. Brett was directly influenced by, the Italian directors, Dario Argento, Umberto Lenzi, Fulci, all of them. And, you can see it in the lighting and even in the creation of the zombies for Bombshell Bloodbath, very highly Italian influenced. So yes, it definitely plays out in his films, and Brett has an incredible eye behind the camera. So it between his influence from these directors and his abilities behind the camera, it plays out beautifully on screen.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. It's shot very well. It's which that's like with Giallos is how they are. Most of them are great. Like Torso has got beautiful shots, and this one I compared to that in the way of the lighting and the colors. You got your blues and reds. It almost plays out like a painting. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's almost like a hidden character in and of itself.
Yeah, 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 definitely. The first kill in Bloody Ballet, the tacos and tequila girl. How was that kill done?
That was a very fun kill. That was just a slight minor prosthetic. I think it was like a metal tube that ran across her throat that was hidden by, like a silicone appliance. and the appliance was hooked, or the metal tube was hooked to a tube that ran down behind her that was hooked up to a garden sprayer. And I think it was 2.5 gallons of blood in the garden sprayer. And upon action, they squeezed the trigger and it just started flowing, and it came out beautiful.
Yes, yes, it did. That was one awesome kill, man. I loved it. I was gonna say, you were a very creepy killer, and your movements were great. And being a silent killer, you speak with your body language. Is there anything you did to kind of prepare for that?
Um, Not a whole lot to directly prepare other than just taking my memories from, all the great horror killers that I grew up with, the Jason, the Michael Myers, the how they moved. It was very solid and direct. Um, Also with not being able to do a whole lot of movement, or act so much, as it were, being, that I'm wearing a dress and a mask. Like, the only thing, or one of the main things I could think of to do to bring out in my character was every time right before they called rolling, is I would open my eyes as wide as I could to give it a very kind of creepy, menacing look to my character, because that was one of the few parts of me personally that you could actually see. So, I wanted to, give that little bit of creepiness, that vibe to my character, rather than being, just a couple of dark eyes, dark slits hiding behind the mask.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The eyes being wide like that is very creepy. Very creepy. Speaking of the dress, how was it wearing a dress for so long?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Like I said, I had a history background of being in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So, it takes a strong will and a strong person to be able to put on, for the role of Dr. Frankenfurter, ladies lingerie and makeup, and go perform every Friday night in front of a bunch of strangers. So, I was used to doing that, 25 years ago. And so, a dress, that's nothing compared to ladies lingerie. So, but being that it was an independent film, and I also do grip work, and working with these people, I try to help out as much as possible. So it was nothing for me in between scenes to literally, like, I would strip off my wig and my mask and my dress, go throw it down. I would go run over, grab a light, grab a cable, stretch this over here, go move the light to a new location, put it in position, then go throw my dress and my wig and my mask back on and get ready for the next shot. So it was quite a hectic time. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. So you were kind of like cast, crew, killer, a bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, especially in the indie world. I try to do as much as possible, because you are kind of limited on budget and this and that and the other. So, and especially with me, like, I've got a stagehand background, like setting up concerts and stuff. So, the work kind of correlates with lights and cables and this and that and the other. So, it's work that I love doing, working as a stagehand. So, of course, when it comes to me making a film, I want to lend my abilities in any way, shape, or form, especially if it's going to speed up the process versus waiting on, oh, we got to get this guy over here to do this light. No, I'll grab the light and move it if it'll take, say 5 minutes, whatever I can do to lend a hand. We're all out here creating art. And even if it's just moving this light over here, if it's adding to the production, I want to do whatever I can to help out and make it as beautiful and as wonderful as possible.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because with indie, like you were saying, it's not as big of a budget. You don't have 100 people walking around doing stuff, so it's really cool that you're able to help out with all that. This film was very influenced with Giallo styles, Giallo films. Do you have a favorite like Giallo movie that you can think of?
Me personally, it's got to be Dario Argento's Suspiria. I've always been a huge fan of that ever since. Honestly, it's been so long I can't even tell you the first time I saw it. It's just been a huge part of my life for years. But Dario Argento created a beautiful world, and again, the lighting. Some of the deaths were very, very original. That first death with the girl falling, through the plate stained glass or whatever was, very memorable one. But yes, Dario Argento's Suspiria is always a huge favorite of mine.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. I love that one. For me, some of those off the top of my head, I would think would be Torso. Torso is a great one.
I have not seen that one. I do remember seeing one of the reviews about Bloody Ballet after it came out, and I can't remember who it was, but they compared it to Torso, which piqued my interest because Brett has spoken of Torso in the past, and so I wanted to go and see it, and for some odd reason, I was unable to. But Torso is definitely one high up on my list to check out, especially since we've been compared to it.
Yeah, I definitely would compare it to it because like the way it was shot and everything, it's very similar. Both like very beautifully shot films. Um, this film, it was shot beautifully. Is there anything you can tell me about like the location of the film?
Um, Majority of it was filmed in and around Richmond, Virginia. We filmed at the historic Byrd Theater, which I believe is located on Cary Street, downtown Richmond. And as you can see in the film, it is a gorgeous theater. We also filmed the finale scene was at a pump house in Richmond. It's decommissioned or whatever, but I think it used to supply all the water for like the city of Richmond or whatever, coming out of the James River. But yeah, we filmed in both of those locations. The house that serves as the locations for Debbie Rochon's character, Dr. Casanelli, her office and her home, as well as my lair as the villain. When you see me down there with the dolls and the pictures of the girls, that was all filmed at a house in Asheboro, North Carolina.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm from Richmond, Virginia, so it's really cool to hear that.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely remember hearing that when the last time we talked. But yeah, like, if you haven't already, go to the Bird Theater in person and see it for yourself. We had such an incredible time filming there, and as a matter of fact, this past year, the band Goblin, that did the soundtrack for the film Suspiria, well, they were on tour and they did the soundtrack to Deep Red, their film Deep Red. They performed it at the Bird Theater in Richmond.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, so Brett and I went up to the Bird Theater, and I dressed up as the killer from Bloody Ballet since we'd filmed there. I put on the wig and the mask and the dress, and I watched Goblin perform the soundtrack to Deep Red live where we
That,
filmed the movie.
that
It
is so
was
cool, man.
it was a very surreal experience. And then the band they had played in Raleigh, where I'm from, they played there a couple days before, and I told them I was coming out. But didn't tell them I was going to do it in an outfit or anything. But I met the band Goblin and got pictures with them in the outfit, and it was a blast of a time.
That's really cool, man. I definitely need to go check that out sometime. Hopefully they come back through.
I did hear to where next year they might be coming back with doing the live soundtrack to Tenebra.
Okay, cool.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
I was gonna ask you in the scene you're in a car, and you're kind of like bouncing around. So can you tell me a little bit about that scene?
Yeah, that scene was actually the first scene that we filmed for the movie. At the time it was Phantasma. But that was the first scenes we filmed for it. And with that scene, I had a little bit different direction I wanted to take with my killer. I wanted it to be more childlike and playful and, with my kills and whatnot. So, like, I was very excited with my kill, and that's why I was like, bouncing around back there. And then it was upon the next scene, or one of the next kills that we did. I believe it was the character of Janice, the girl that I slashed up with the razor.
Yeah.
Um, it was that night speaking with Matt Cloud, co-writer of the film, that he wanted me more, big and solid and menacing, like your Jasons or your Michael Myers. So that's why the character kind of took a little bit of a different turn at that point. But I think it still plays out. But yeah, I really had fun in that car scene with Tatiana, our actress, and going for that eyeball. And it was great hearing everybody outside the car, like Brett and everybody, like go for it, like get it, And then finally the eyeball pops out and rolls down their face, and everybody starts cheering. And oh man, it was a beautiful time. But yeah, it was a fun night.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really liked it. It looked like you had a lot of energy going into it, and the special effects with the eyeball popping out are great. Like the special effects in the whole movie are awesome. Can you tell me how the eyeball was done? Because I'm just interested to see how that's done.
Uh, I don't know 100% of it. I do know that our makeup team was Joe Harp Effects out of Archdale, North Carolina. They do Kersey Valley Spooky Woods. They're the makeup team that is in control of the haunt out there. But we use them for all the local movies around here. Use Joe Harp Effects. He is incredible. But I know he did a live cast of our actress to create her face. And then I guess he just created like a sculpture or whatever beneath to hold like a plastic eyeball. And I think it might have just been one specific that I could cut out. I don't know if both of them were done the same way, but you can kind of see it at the end in the footage. It's like it's just like a plastic eyeball, and it was just in this cavity in this fake head that I reached in, and it had blood effects and whatnot pumped into it, and I cut it out, and it comes rolling down the face, and it was just it was a beautiful moment on film.
Oh yeah, it was, man. I love it. It's so cool. They great special effects team.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, Joe Harp was also responsible for doing all the effects on Jason Butarin's film Kill Giggles. He did that one. He was responsible for creating all the effects on Bombshell Bloodbath that we did. The zombie character that I played, Donald Gray. He created that. Like I said, they're a very talented team. I look forward to working with them each and every time. As a matter of fact, I actually have a date with Joe Harp Effects tomorrow, as I'm going to go get my body and my torso and my arms life cast for Brett Mullen's new film, Killer Babes and the Frightening Film Fiasco.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's been a long time since I've read the script, so I can't really remember exactly how my character dies, but I know it's a upper torso and arms are involved in the life cast process, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, once it comes out, you have to come back on and tell me about it.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. This movie, it's already got a huge stellar cast involved. We have Linnea Quigley from Return of the Living Dead. Debbie Rochon is returning from Phantasma, or well, Bloody Ballet. She's coming back to be in it. Tiffany Shepis is coming as well. Fans might know her from Victor Crowley. We have Ariana Teisinger from The Conjuring. Yeah. Oh gracious.
Awesome cast, man. Awesome
Yeah.
cast.
We have so many. Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5 is going to be in it. It's going to be a huge cast. It's going to be stellar. Like everybody should definitely keep an eye out for it. Like I said, it's a Brett Mullen film. If you like the past two, if you like the lighting and the visual style, this one is going to be extremely gorgeous, let alone the stellar cast that we have involved.
Yeah, man, I cannot wait to see that. The cast sounds just like outstanding. Just
Yeah.
great cast there.
Yeah, it
Uh,
doesn't matter whether it's casting or locations or lighting or whatever. When it comes to Brett Mullen, he knocks it out of the park every time.
yeah, I'd agree, man. Um, Bloody Ballet. I was gonna ask you in the. It's kind of like a vision type scene where it looks like you're almost being reborn and coming through the stomach of that one chick. That was just amazing. Anything you can
Yeah.
tell me about that?
Yeah. Excuse me. That was a fun day on set. Matter of fact, like due to the way they had it scheduled for filming or whatever, like they didn't even need me. So like Brett came to Raleigh. Well, actually, I was working in Durham, North Carolina at the time. He met me there, and I dropped off the mask and the whole outfit for him, and he took it off, and they were filming the next day. And honestly, I was a little bit disappointed that like they didn't ask me to be there or that they didn't need me. So I was like, "Oh, screw it, nobody's gonna mind. I'll just drive out there and watch." And so, like, I get to Joe Harp's house and walk in the door, and everybody's like, "Shane, hey, great, you're here. You could really help out with this. You mind giving us a hand?" And like, originally Joe Harp was going to pull off that effect, but he was needed on like the blood effects and holding the body still and this and that and the other. So I put on the outfit again and did the effect where coming out of the body. And it took a good several shots to get you know what Brett actually liked and what you see on film, but it was a lot of fun. I think that effect, going into the day, I think I remember hearing that effect was supposed to take 5 gallons of blood.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Any day when you're on set and there's a large blood gag is a good day on set.
Yeah, it's true. I was an extra in a movie not too long ago. It's planned to come out sometime later this year. I was able to see like a 5 minute scene might take you all night long to end up getting the filming done.
Yeah, I've heard. Well, I'll say it's a rumor. I think it's a very good rule of thumb with the filmmaking. From what I've heard, they say that for every 1 minute of footage that you view on screen is at least 1 hour's worth of work putting into creating that.
Yeah,
So, and like I said, I think that's a good rule of thumb. Like, I mean, it takes a lot, to watch, like, one scene, discussion between characters or whatever. Like every time that camera moves, every time a character moves, like you have to redo that take over and over and over from so many different angles and so many different takes that, you know, you could be out there, depending on how involved the scene is, you could be out there for several hours just to get something that's going to play out like in the bat of an eye when you're watching it on screen. But
yeah,
it just goes to show all the hard work and dedication from everybody involved in making a film.
yeah. It's really cool to see how much work goes into it. It's a lot. It's not as easy as it looks on screen at all.
Sometimes fans don't consider that when they're watching a movie, but then again, if the movie's done well, it's great that they have that disbelief, like unfortunately, like some of the really bad films where you might have a boom shot in the film or whatever, that brings you back to reality. Like, yeah, this is a film, but the more well it is crafted, without those minor mistakes, you can get more immersed into the film and you know forget that you're watching a story.
Yeah, yeah, I agree there. I was gonna ask, if you could play like any killer like ever has been out there, who would you like to be sometime?
Man, I mean, like as far as everybody that's ever been, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, there's been some great ones. I don't know if I could do as good a job or better as those who have come before me. I'm just lucky to have been able to play a killer for myself. Our film might not be the next cult classic or as big as the Friday the 13th or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but as long as it gets out there to some fans and you know, get some exposure, like I said, I'm lucky to have just played this killer. Hopefully I'll get to play more better killers in the future. And if the killer from Bloody Ballet doesn't become iconic, well, maybe one of those future roles, maybe that character becomes iconic. Like I said, I'm lucky that my films are getting more exposure and getting bigger and better and working with you know more talented cast and more popular cast and meeting these people and having these connections. It's fun. It's a fun ride. Let's see where it goes. Like I said, hopefully I can play, the next Leatherface or the next Jason.
Yeah, yeah, man, I'll definitely keep an eye out for it. Bloody Ballet, I mean, awesome killer, and definitely one day to me it will be a cult classic one day.
Well,
Definitely will.
Much. Thank you very much. It's slow going, but I'm out there promoting it every day on Facebook or whatever any chance I get. Like I'm Facebook group. Somebody's like, hey, can anybody suggest a good film on Amazon or Tubi? Yes, I can. Bombshell Bloodbath or Bloody Ballet. Go check out my films. Yes, that was a shameless plug, and I did it again. But I'll do it each and every day. As long as I can gain one fan or somebody like, oh, I've never heard of that. Let's go check it out. Or, that sounds interesting. Then they look at the trailer. Holy crap, that looks really good. I think I will add that to my watch list. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what you got to do because like this film, I didn't hear about it until I got met you and watched it and was blown away. It's an awesome movie.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. It's not it's not the best film in the world. It's not the worst film in the world. I have read some reviews that were not the best in the world, but nobody's really ripped it to shreds. But with each and every film, it's a learning experience. So and with each and every film, you get better. So like I said, I'm just looking forward to the future because it's been beautiful so far.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's how it is with people, man. You can't please everyone, no matter
Exactly.
how good you try and how much work you put into it. Not everybody's gonna be happy.
But I
Always gonna
will
be
say
some way.
I have heard more positive reviews than negative reviews about our film, and that definitely means a lot as well.
Yeah, that's great, man. I was gonna ask, and Bombshell Bloodbath, your zombie makeup looked awesome. Around how long did that take to get done?
Um, the application and the painting process for the full zombie, for the head and the arms or whatnot, when more of me was going to be seen, those scenes took about an hour and a half total. For some of the scenes where it was just more of a close up, just of my head or whatnot, the application and painting took about an hour for that. The head is definitely larger than, they only had to paint my hands like up to my wrists. So, that didn't take too long, but it still took some time. The majority of the application and painting was, on my head. But like I said, that took about an hour for that, another 30 minutes for my hands. Um, but on the last day of the application process for that, we were lucky enough that right before we started, Brett Mullen just happened to walk into the effects lab and it sat down on the counter. It was like, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. I figured I'd watch this. It was like, oh, you don't have anything to do. Well, how about this? Do you mind breaking out a camera and filming this? And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, time lapse would be great, but just get it on film. And he's like, I think I've got everything for time lapse. So he set up the camera and got the footage of it. So if you're interested, you can go online. I think just Shane Terry Bombshell Bloodbath or Shane Terry Donald Gray makeup something. I don't know. You'll find it. I can send you the link personally after we get off of here. But for any of your fans, you can type in that search. And it's a time lapse version. I think it comes down to about a minute and a half, 2 minutes of me being transformed into the zombie of Donald Gray.
Man, that's awesome, man. Yeah, definitely send me that link. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Um, did you do any kind of training to learn how to walk like a zombie? Because I know there's like zombie schools out there and stuff. Did you have to do anything for that?
Yeah, no, not me personally. I do know that there are, zombie schools out there. But I personally haven't taken one. Mine, the zombie that I created, the movement and everything was just from years of watching zombie films and, just kind of thinking in the back of my mind, like, how would I do that? How would I move? This one little trick that I came up with when we were filming was, I was thinking about, as a zombie, like all your muscles kind of awake a lot slower than others or whatever. So once you see me sit up on the table and as I'm turning my head, my eyeball has this little tick. And what I'm doing is like basically my eyeball moves a little bit, but my head has to catch up to it. And then it moves a little bit more. And then so it was just, little things like that I was taking into consideration. Like, I've never been a true zombie before. I don't, nobody's been able to interview a zombie. You don't know how the process works. So it was just, years of watching zombie films and developing my own characteristics or movements, and finally applying them on the day when it came down to performing.
That's awesome. Yeah, it came out great. Same way when I was in that one film, I didn't take no school or nothing. I kind of just tried to make it look like the films I'm used to seeing, like
Yeah,
Living Dead and things like that.
yeah.
How was it playing two different roles in that movie?
Well, that was great. I loved it. So that goes back to that first film that I ever did, A Few Brains More, Summer of Blood. Going back to the indie aesthetic of not enough people, having to wear many hats or whatever. So on that film, I ended up playing five different characters, and through that process, the final day of filming during a toast, they said to Shane, man of a thousand faces, and I was like, oh, I'm the next Lon Chaney, and then I came up with a nickname. I'm Lon Chaney. So, so I got five roles in that. And, again, following that indie aesthetic, like with most of the productions that I worked on, I was playing multiple characters because, at least for me, I'm a tall, slender, bald guy. Like, I could fit many roles, makeup, put a wig on me, this, that, and the other. I can portray many different characters. It's easy to change my appearance. So, through a lot of the productions that I've done, I've played multiple characters. So, again, going back to I want to help out as much as possible. Like, hey, you need somebody to play a role, I'll do it. So Brett, but when it came to Bombshell Bloodbath, Brett had first approached me with the role of Officer Stevens, and I read that and I was like, okay, well, this is cool. Didn't have a lot of dialogue to it, and then like a couple of weeks later, he approaches me. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I also wanted you to play the zombie. Do you mind playing him?" And I'm like, "Well, let me read the role, but I'm sure I won't mind." And then I read it, and I'm like, "Holy crap! You want me to play him? Yes, please let me be him." So it was a lot of fun. And when it came for Bloody Ballet, I was the killer in the dress, but I doubled for well, I didn't double, I was the body of her slain father at the beginning of the film.
No, I have to keep an eye out for that. I'll watch it again.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm the body of the father laying there at the table, and so it's not trying to spoil the film too much for your viewers that might not have seen it, but the killer in a uh, ghost-like state, I guess, is created from the tragedy of the death of her mother and father. So the killer that you see is kind of a conglomeration of her mother and father that you see laying there at the dead at the table.
That is very cool. It's a great story, and it's almost like it's got like a psychological mix with a slasher. It's really good.
Yeah, I really love the way it was written and put together. The film keeps you guessing throughout the whole time as to who the killer really is, and then the psychological twist at the end when we have the reveal is quite a fun turn.
Oh yeah, definitely is. Is there any other projects you want us to keep an eye out for or listeners to check out?
Like I said, keep an eye out for Kill Giggles by Jason Butarin. It's about to have its release, I think in May. So keep an eye out for that. I play one of the clowns in it. I play the stripper clown Kinky Dinky. Um,
That's awesome,
that
man.
was that was a fun character. I do have another film that I was in is called Blood of the Mummy is going around on the film festival circuit right now, so keep an eye out for that. I play the character of Brad in it. And also, the most importantly, keep an eye out for Brett Mullen's next upcoming film, Killer Babes in the Frightening Film Fiasco. I've got a part in it, and like I said, I've already told you some of the stellar cast that we have involved in it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. We think, fingers crossed, that it's going to be a very popular film once it's finally released.
Oh yeah, I believe it will, man. With that cast and everyone, it's gonna be awesome. I cannot wait to check it out.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, everything with Brett Mullen at the helm is golden.
Awesome, man. I want to thank you for joining us tonight here on Horror After Midnight.
No problem, Casey. I appreciate you having me. Horror After Midnight's a great show, and I'm gonna make sure everybody tunes in to check it out.